Sri, I'm not going to rap about it. I heard you doing that a bit earlier, but we will continue the conversation on Alibaba because it's a very interesting one. And joining us now is Alan Haft, partner at Kelly Haft Financial. Alan, mobile business surge, revenues rose, dwarfing Amazon's results, but margins seem to ease a bit. What stands out for you in these results?
Well, look, across the board, they crushed it. Okay, so the top line earnings was way up. They added about a little under 30 million users. The gross merchandise value was through the roof. So everything looks great for this company in the first quarter. The only blip on the radar, really, to speak of is the profit margins, like you mentioned. Profit margins were down a little bit, but the reason for that was because of the employee compensation hit that the company took, a little less than $500 million, plus some of their investment and investment into infrastructure created some more expenses. But that's a short-term blip. If a company goes public and they raise all this money, it's really expected that there's going to be a hit for employee compensation and for infrastructure. So as far as I'm concerned, this is a win-win-win for Alibaba.
Well, don't be on the fence there, Alan. Can I just ask you about the small and medium-sized businesses? There's talk that they will expand into that smaller area of commerce in China. How important is that?
It's very important because if you listen to Jack Ma, he has a fantastic vision. For the last decade, a lot of the big brands, like look at the U.S., Starbucks, Nike, Apple's making inroads into China. Finally, a lot of the big brands have been making headway into the Chinese market. But what's really going to blow the cover off the ball here is when he gets the middle class and the working class of China onto the web, into e-commerce, and that's already starting to happen. And keep in mind, only half of China is on the internet right now. So Jack Ma's vision is to really have everybody in China that's selling product, to have them at the doorstep of the world, to sell their products, and for the Chinese market to be buying U.S. and global products as well.
Alan, very interesting comment from you. I just want to quote you. Not as quick to recommend taking an overly aggressive position on the stock, that's Alibaba, as I would be if the same company was under American regulation. So, regulatory risk from Beijing, is that a longer-term blip in your mind?
You know, it's a concern of mine for sure, because you never know what's going to happen one day in China when the government wakes up, especially because Alibaba is getting deeply entrenched into banking, and it did scare the Chinese government. Jack Ma said so himself. So they raised there was about $1 billion put into the Alibaba money market fund for a higher interest rate. It scared the heck out of all the banks over there. So you never know when the Chinese government's going to wake up and feel a little shaky. That being said, however, my personal belief is that if the Chinese government came in and the scariest things I've heard is they might take control of the company, they might make it illegal with this offshore entity in the Caribbean. But there would be such a huge, monstrous loss of credibility if the Chinese government did that. That in the short, the medium, and the long term, I really don't see that as being a big issue because of the huge marquee value of Alibaba, not only in China but across the planet right now. Let's face it, at the biggest IPO, the last thing the Chinese government's going to want to do is really shake that up, because it will be a huge loss of credibility. I don't see that happening.
Understood, Alan. Very, very grateful for you joining us today. Alan Haft there from Kelly Haft Financial.
Thanks for having me on.
Thank you, sir. It's our pleasure. Now, we do